Hi, Paige. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. I'm so excited to have you. Everyone heard your intro, but I'm just going to say it again. If you listened to last week's episode on healing your diet mentality, Paige was actually the one who had reached out and told me her story. And you sent me 2 novels, which I love.
Yes,
I
good.
love it when people send me novels. And she had said she had this like irrational fear. So she is what inspired last week's episode. And she so graciously is showing up today and, sharing herself for us so we can do a coaching session so we can all learn from this. But before we
Yeah.
get into that, would you just give us, Paige, like who you are, where you're from, and anything you feel called to share about yourself?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad I found your podcast and just your page in general. It was just like a timing thing and it helped me so much. Um, but yeah, so I live in Colorado Springs. My fiance and I, we own a gym out here where I'm a physical therapist, and it's really cool to own your own business. There's a lot that goes with it, but I do love it. Um, I guess like I've always been into fitness ever since I was young. I remember my mom was like my idol with that. She was like always doing something. She played tennis, did Ironmans, that kind of thing. So yeah, from an early age, I've always been into it. I played soccer in college, so I did like Division I soccer, and then after that, I did Ironman, so triathlons, and then I did a bikini competition, and there's kind of like a reason why I did the bikini competition, and like all areas of my life, like there are different types of fitness, but there's always like me just pushing it to the limit. Like with soccer, it was like pushing it to the limit. With the Ironman, it was like pushing my body to the limit. And the bikini competition, that kind of thing. So I like to really like work hard and that kind of thing. So I think that's sometimes where I can also lose connection with like what do I really need? What does my body need? And that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, I think over that time, some emotional things, some tragic things happened. I lost my mom about like 5 years ago. So I think that's where I just started getting this unhealthy relationship with food, where I started emotionally eating. I never had a problem with my weight. And so yeah, that's kind of where we came about for sure.
Mm-hmm. Just so I can have some context, did the
Yeah.
bikini competition happen after or before your mom's passing?
So after,
After. And
yeah.
was it doing it, was part of you doing it because to get in shape? Like, did you use the competition as a means of motivation?
Yeah. So after my mom passed, so real quick, this will be good too, is that when my mom passed, me and her were actually training for our first Ironman to do together.
Yeah.
And so that was something that was really special to us. So she actually was killed when she was riding her bike. And so, that was just it was very tragic. But anyways, I ended up still doing the Ironman because and I fundraised for drunk driving, like ending drunk driving, that kind of thing. And but after that, you do something, right? So big, and it takes so long to get to and train for. And so after that, there was kind of that letdown period, and that's when I started, eating way more than usual. And I probably put on like 15 to 20 pounds over my natural body weight, just like a healthy, active body weight. And so I saw these things about bikini competitions, and, you should do this and get a coach. And so I did that, and, it was really fulfilling in the moment.
Mm.
But then after, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to sustain this. You know what I mean? And because you've done that too, but it's just like you're doing like hours of cardio, you're eating like nothing, your hormones are just all over the place. Um, and everyone's like, oh, you look so good. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I bust my ass. Like,
Of
this is
course I
hard.
look good.
Yeah.
But at
But
the same time, I'm miserable.
oh yeah, for sure. And it's just like, it's just not sustainable. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I kind of got into the bikini competition. And then ever since that, it's just been like, how can I like keep my body like looking the way I want it to look through food? Because that's what I did to get my natural kind of body back. But it wasn't, it's just like I lost total connection with who I was in terms of like when I'm hungry, what do I want to eat? I lost that intuitive side of myself. And like I would like look back at pictures, and I think you talked about this in one of your episodes, like the inner child.
Hmm.
And I need to do a lot of work with that.
Oh,
But I
we'll do
looked,
it right now.
yeah, I know, right? I look back at a picture of myself when I was like 16 playing soccer, and I was like, that girl literally didn't think anything about her body. Like, I want to get back to that. And so that helped me a lot because I knew then that in order to get that, I needed to step away from tracking and, just putting everything on a schedule and being so type A.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now fast forward to today, are you
Yeah.
still tracking your macros? You've got the wedding in September, right? Congratulations, by the way.
Oh yeah. So I was, and I'm not gonna lie, like when I listened to your podcast, it was kind of like that breaking point where I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Like
Mhm,
I was tracking my macros and I was working out like 6 days a week, and I was so excited, like, oh, I'm gonna get ready for my bachelor party and my wedding. And it's like, why am I doing this when literally everyone around me loves me for like who I am and like not what I look like, and losing an extra 5 pounds is not gonna do anything. I think you just get so caught up in it that you're just like, I need to do this. And like, yeah. So I listened to, a couple of your episodes, and it just really resonated with me. And it just gave me that courage to be like, I want to be Paige again. And I don't want to have to just keep on relying on like going back on that diet or going back to those macros, or okay, you not binge over the weekend, but you overeat and you let yourself go, but it's like, oh, I need to get back. But the whole time when you're, binging or overeating, you're thinking about, oh, it's okay, on Monday, I'll just get back on track. And it's like, that's not sustainable either. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm.
So, yeah, I was just being really hard on myself. And it's like, for what?
Yeah, for what?
Yeah.
What were you being so hard on yourself for?
I don't know. I think, um, like just for the wedding, I think like I really put a lot of pressure on myself to look a certain way because I am a trainer, I am a physical therapist, and like I'm always talking about health and fitness, and I'm never like going to be that like top like 5% of being lean. Like I am in good shape and I'm very healthy, and like that's always something I have, but I'll never be like that bikini lean, or you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's just once you get there, you want to like maintain it, but you realize it's just not maintainable or sustainable or healthy at all.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, I want you to catapult yourself back into like when you were perhaps at your leanest, like physically in shape.
Oh yeah.
Where was your mindset? Were you the like were you proud to be who you were back then?
Oh my gosh, no, I was so anxious all the time, which I had never been before. I'm like thinking about like, I'm planning my meals out before the day, and it's like, who does that? Like I felt so type A. I would like go on my fitness pal and be like, okay, I can have this for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I can save this for a treat in that day. It was just like so stressful.
Mhm,
And my workouts were crazy. Like I would have to maintain like just a very high intensity workout the whole time. So like I couldn't enjoy what I was actually doing or actually enjoying the workout because I was like worried about like who's on the squat rack because I needed to use that next. Like it was just so extreme. It was so crazy. I look back on it and I'm like, I was psychotic. But I feel like people get that way when they have, this kind of routine or this goal they're trying to achieve. Um, but yeah, and I was actually looking at your post recently, and you talk a lot about hormone health, and I'm so into women's hormones. It's like one of my biggest things that I love learning about, and so that was a big thing I touched on after this whole thing is like, being in sync with your menstrual cycle and knowing all the different hormonal fluctuations and that kind of thing. And that's one thing, like I lost my period for like 3 years. I feel like it was bad. So yeah.
Long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's like a million ways I can go into this conversation.
I know. I'm
So
giving
many
you so
things.
much.
Um, one, as just like a side note,
Yeah.
do you right now do like cycle sync? Are you in touch with like your feelings in your body and like where you're at on your period, and do you adjust your workout schedule to it?
Yeah, so I'm getting better with that because I use the MyFlow app, like I think you use.
Yeah.
And so, I'm big into like knowing like when I am on my period, like taking rest, not feeling bad about rest days, whereas like before, like it didn't matter. Like I'm pushing through this workout, like no matter what. And I'm not gonna let myself eat more even though my body needs more because I'm having a period. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm definitely like obviously now that I'm into like, letting my body have what it needs, I'm going to touch on that a lot more. But when I was tracking my macros, I was like all or nothing mentality, like, nope,
Hmm.
can't touch that right now because I'm tracking my macros. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like I can't even have more avocado during my period because I don't have enough fat. It just doesn't make sense.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm so excited that you've let the macros go, because last time we talked, you were still tracking your macros. So I'm so
Yes.
happy. Everyone give snaps to Paige.
Yes, yes, I know.
She did it. So let's dive into that, because I think that's the part where it's always, I mean, it's not easy, but it's
Yeah.
the easiest when you first do it. Cause it's like, okay, I've let this go. I'm embarking on this new journey. Um,
Hmm.
what has been your biggest obstacles as of late, since you've let go of macros and you're still getting married in September? That's still happening.
Yeah.
So what have been some of the challenges that you've been going through?
So at first it was just like, am I gonna gain weight? Am I gonna overeat? Am I going to, um, just kind of go crazy? And like feel like I'm not making any progress or I'm losing all the progress I made. And it's so crazy because when you don't make a weight loss like your goal in life,
Mm-hmm.
it literally, you're not going to gain weight. Like, I feel like it's just so, it's like mind blowing. You're like, oh, I'm doing all this and you're working so hard. It's like you're not even letting your body be natural, like where it should go. And like, I already know, like, naturally, my body probably sits a lot lower of a weight than it does right now after tracking macros for so long. Because like when you're not hungry, you're still eating because you have those left. And
Exactly.
it's that mindset that you said like about scarcity mindset. And it's just like you can have that extra, you know, sweet potato if you want it. Like you don't have to save your carbs for anything. Like it's so crazy to think like, going over 10 grams of carbs, you're like freaking out. And it's like, um, that's literally nothing. So yeah, I think that was a big thing is just like, right now I'm letting my body, I'm eating what I want when I want. And I'm just understanding there's going to be a lot of stages in this, and just trying to be, be have grace with myself. And honestly, whenever I'm having like anxiety or anything about it or doubting myself, I literally go on and I listen to a podcast because I think it's all about community and having that help there.
Yeah. Oh my God, I want to cry. It's so beautiful. I love that. Well, I'm so happy that you gave yourself the grace and that
Oh
you
yeah.
have let it go,
Hmm.
because exactly what you said. The energy in which we do something makes a bigger impact than what we do itself. So if
Hmm.
you are, you know, like forcing yourself to meet those carbohydrates, stress on the body. Not
Yeah,
allowing yourself to eat more, stress on the body.
exactly.
And the overeating and the undereating is also breaking trust with your body. So how are you
Mhm.
going to learn to trust your intuition when you force yourself to eat when you're not hungry, and vice versa, you know?
Yeah, no, and it's like I resonated with when you said it too. It's like, you want to have kids one day. You don't want to bring this like why am I gonna wait to start doing this intuitive eating and like wait till after my wedding? Like it just there's never gonna be a right time. Like you just need to do it. Like I don't know, I just feel like their diets do not work or any kind of restriction. It's just like I can't believe I ever like thought it did. And it's just crazy to think that. You know what I mean?
All of us thought it did. I mean, that's the society we live in. The
Yeah.
society we live in, that's fat phobia. We're afraid of gaining weight. We're afraid of having weight on our bodies. We're so used to seeing like photoshopped images of women on the front of magazines.
Oh
And
yeah.
we don't see the in between, because we see either like Sports Illustrated, or we see plus size modeling on Sports
Mhm.
Illustrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
you're either really skinny or you're rather larger bodied. And so
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of like my clients, especially those in the bikini competition world, they, see all these photos of people on Instagram. And let me tell you, to put one photo on Instagram, you got to take like 30 photos. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I've been there, done that, girl. Oh my gosh,
exactly.
terrible.
So knowing that, why are we comparing ourselves to bodies on the internet? Because this is all comparison driven when, we
Mhm.
talk about like our body image and I want to be leaner. Well, for what? Well, for, other people. I want other people to think good
Yeah.
of me. So, it's in society. So you're not crazy for ever having thought that dieting is what would make you happy, is what would give you the body that you want, because the diet industry is billions and billions of dollars,
Oh, for sure.
and capitalizes on our insecurity. So
Yeah.
you saying, I like myself, this is
Mhm.
Paige. This is good. If I gain weight, great. If I lose weight, great. But this is who I am. You saying that is like you standing up against diet culture. And I think that if all of us could stand up and do that, we'd put it out
Mhm.
of business.
Oh, for sure. And it's the hard thing to do. Like, I mean, I wish I could tell every like person I come in contact with, like, you have to dig deep. Like, it's hard work,
Mm-hmm.
but it is so worth it. Like, I cannot imagine like the thought of just like being stressed about what I was eating and what I looked like for the rest of my life is that's awful. Like, what are
Yeah.
you living for? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And what trauma are you going to pass on to your daughters,
Yeah.
your
Oh,
kids?
yeah.
Because our kids, when like, ancestral trauma can be handed down to you. And then on the other hand, it's role model.
Oh,
And
yeah,
if you
for
can't be
sure.
comfortable in your body now, then that's the message that we send, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I'd love to dive into that actually, about body image specifically.
Mhm.
Before we had hit record, I asked you what were some of the things that you wanted to really kind of focus coaching on. And one of those was what to do on the down days, like on the days that you're just feeling kind of snacky.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
Um, yeah, I mean, I know I'm gonna have those days, and I know like certain times in my menstrual cycle too, I get like that, and I'm just like, I need to just stay away from the mirrors, or like if I am gonna be near the mirror, just like be neutral, or like I in my gym I have mirrors all around, so
Yeah.
like every day I'm training and doing PT. I see myself. So that was something I really struggled with at first. Because,
Mm,
like, on a regular job, you're just sitting at a desk, right? And you don't get that, that image every day where you're just looking at yourself and seeing yourself in every angle. Um, but I think for the down days, I really just try to I'll look at, pictures of when I felt really connected with myself the most. Like
mhm.
I'll look at old pictures, old memories, not to compare my body, but to just be like, okay, who was Paige in that mindset? Was she happy? Did she have a good relationship with food? That kind of thing. I think for me, it is about body image, but the biggest thing is it's more like what my relationship with food is and fitness. And that
Mm,
really grounds me whenever I think about that. Because even when I had the best body image ever, I was not happy with my body image
yeah.
because I wasn't good with my relationship with food. Because I knew that like I was depriving myself or I was going to, overeat because I had a bite of that cookie and it was so good and I'm just going to eat it because, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that helps ground me when I have bad body image days.
I love that. Um, when you think back to not only just your childhood, but more so like when your mom passed
Hmm.
and you didn't allow yourself to really grieve, what did you use as a coping mechanism back then?
Oh, so my coping mechanism was literally training for an Ironman. So I would go on these, 10, 20-mile runs, 50-mile bike rides, and I would just push myself so hard. Like, during that time, I would think about my mom and I would talk to her, and I think that was a grieving mechanism. But I would make myself so tired that I would kind of just like not really take in what happened.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think I grieved the right way, and I think that's why after that I reached that goal of doing the Ironman. That's why I kind of had that phase after where I kind of I emotionally ate and yeah, I just kind of had that stage. So but now I feel that I'm doing a ton more work internally and it's just crazy. Come a long way, but it's 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 really hard when you're in it, you
It's
know?
so hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's take a moment to acknowledge all the hard work you've done.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot for sure.
And have you ever just stopped to think and just be proud of yourself? What would your mom say to you right now?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's something that really I have to talk to myself on my down days too is like I literally like my mom was perfect and I looked at her that way and that's how she looked at me. So why can't I look at myself that way? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um so that's something that helps me too.
Why can't you see yourself as perfect?
Um I think it might have been some things that came from my mom and I know it wasn't her fault and I know she had some struggles there, but I remember she had like six-pack abs and she'd be like, "Ugh, feeling fat today." And I don't think she didn't mean to do that, but that's something that passed along to me. And it wasn't until later when after my mom passed, I was kind of seeking that approval from her because
Hmm.
I think what happened was after my mom passed, I gained that weight, right? And the reason I kept gaining it and kind of out of control was I was just always seeking approval from when my mom was alive. I was this petite girl, and I just said, I need to just get back to that because that's how my mom knew me. And
Mm,
that's how I was when she was alive. And there's tons of stuff I need to work on and stuff, but I've really nailed down that that's probably why I just kept kind of spiraling out of control and like had those body image issues.
What's the specific thought?
Um, I think just like she would it's not that she would comment on my appearance, but she's like, "Oh, you're just such good shape," and I wanted to be back to that.
Mm,
And and it was just like, "Oh, I'm not there." So I just felt not as connected to her in a
mm.
way.
So the thought is like when I'm in the best shape, that I'm most connected to my mom because that's what she valued in me.
I don't think it's like necessarily what she valued in me because she like I know she like truly loved me, but in a lot of ways that's how we always were active together. We were running together, we were biking together, swimming together. That's how it always was. So I think just trying to tap back into those days and those memories, that's kind of where I would go with it.
Mm, mm. And is
It can be kind of complex, but you
no,
know
that
what I
makes
mean?
sense. Yeah. But
Yeah.
is that thought true? Is that thought,
No,
yeah.
not at all. No. And like the way I try to view myself now is like talking to, myself as if I was like a little girl. Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I gonna, the biggest thing that I've learned is like judging myself gets me nowhere. And that's like, oh my gosh, I would do that every day. I would be like, oh my gosh, you look so bad right now. And it would just be like, why are you saying that? Like, would you tell your child that? Or would you tell your, 10-year-old self that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, of course not, you know? But yeah, one of your episodes I listened to about, the judgment and getting rid of that inner critic, and that's been huge for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. You're probably the first person who's like actually implemented everything that I've taught.
Oh my gosh, when I tell you I'm like type A, I am.
You do all the homework, huh? Like everything I talk about, like you
Oh
actually
my
learn a
gosh,
lot.
yes.
I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh, one thing I have to say is like I love to work on myself. But I think like that's something that can also be challenging because I'm always like I judge myself because if
Yeah.
I don't work on myself, I do judge myself and I'm like, well, you didn't do anything today. So, what are you doing now that's going to better yourself for tomorrow or like so that's something that I do have to work on being a little bit more graceful with that. But I do love diving deep and like getting emotional and like knowing what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Yeah.
believe that you're not broken? Do you believe that there's nothing about you that you need to fix?
Yes, I do believe that, but I do know that I'm gonna have hard days, and on those hard days, I want to have good ways. I want to have ways that I can talk to myself and get out of those hard days rather than just bringing myself down more.
How do you feel about allowing yourself to have a hard day?
Oh, so much better. Some days I just am like, it is what it is, and I'm gonna go do one little thing that makes me happy, and if that's like going to get a coffee from my local coffee shop that I just love, and just like, keeping my pajamas on for a couple hours, like I'm fine with that. Like I am cool with that, and it's just like becoming more self-aware of like mental health and like knowing like it's okay to not be going 100% all the time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The self-help gets a little bit addicting.
Yes.
And I used to be that way as well, where I'd like go to my therapist's office and I like talk to her about that. And for a while, and I don't know maybe if this is where you are, but for a while, I always had to be improving myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always listening to a podcast or reading a book or doing something. I couldn't just fold the laundry with silence. I always
Yes.
felt like I had to maximize my time. Is that
Yes. I do feel like that sometimes. Um, for sure. Yeah, because if I'm not doing that, I'm kind of sometimes then I'll get down and I'll kind of think about like my past ways and I'm like, uh-oh, I can't go there. So yeah, I do see that sometimes for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And I notice that in a lot of high achieving women, like women, not only just like athletes, but anyone who really resonates with like ambition, because we're a rare breed. And there are some people that look at us and they're like, I don't know. Like I look at people who don't accomplish anything and I'm like, how do you do that? Like I
Yeah, I
just don't
know.
get it.
Yeah.
Some people look at us the same way where they're like, how?
Yeah.
Why can't you
Uh-huh.
just chill? So self improvement. The trap sometimes though is thinking that we always have to be improving ourselves,
Yes.
and this is a lot of masculine energy. This is the
Yes.
doing. This is the executing, the planning, alignment.
Mm-hmm.
The feminine energy is, and this is kind of like we're talking about with hormones, is really allowing yourself to relax and be. And that some slowing down, my latest mantra is slowing down is a power move.
Yes, I love that. I saw that you posted that.
So how can you slow down? How can you stop this hamster wheel of self-improvement that you're on?
Hmm.
How would
Um,
that look for you?
I think the one thing that I've been doing, which is way better, is for me is improving like my faith. So like my relationship with God.
Mhm.
I know this might not resonate with everyone because everyone has different religions and faith, but that helps me to calm down and slow down. So like every morning I do wake up and I do a devotional and
Mhm.
versus like self-improvement, it's more like, you're
Connecting.
improve yeah. So that I feel more like feminine energy for me for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's for anybody who believes anything. If you're spiritual, like, it doesn't matter what it is. Some people say
Mhm.
God, some people say source, some people say universe. It's all the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just putting your faith in a higher power outside of you. Um,
Yes.
I love that you've been doing that because that is feminine energy. That is surrendering. That's,
Yeah.
putting it outside of yourself and saying, hey, I'm really strong, but I'm going to lean on you for support. And I'm going to lean on my faith and I'm going to lean on God and I'm going to
Mhm.
ask for guidance and just help and support. And like, that's you being in your feminine. How cool, huh?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad you told me that because because you do think like sometimes people are like, oh, you wake up and do a devotional, like, oh, that's really good for yourself. And it's like, it's good for myself, but
Yeah.
no, it's actually good for, my relationship with God and my faith. It's
Yes.
not really about myself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, cool. I'm glad we brought that up. I think it's
Yeah.
important for all of us to find our faith, whatever you decide,
Yeah.
whatever religion or whatever you believe in. And even if you're agnostic, I mean, it's the same thing. You have a faith in something. Um,
Exactly.
I think that we're all being sort of like awakened a little bit to realize that there is a higher power out there. And even though we are very ambitious and goal driven and we do things all on our own,
Hmm.
can ask for help and we don't have to do it all on our own. And in my own healing journey, finding faith and surrendering to that faith has literally been everything
Oh, yeah.
because I just try to do it all by myself all the time. Um,
Hmm.
and that's where that self-improvement sort of like addiction comes in, where it's like you think you're broken or you just think that there's always something to improve. And so you're kind of relentless on that journey
Yeah.
and being able to be present, talk to God, just be there and be in your being rather than trying to do things all the time, that's
Hmm.
really going to help you balance.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because when you do have most of your mental energy on your physique and your nutrition and all this, it takes away from so much more energy that you have to just be your highest self, like you
Yeah.
talk about. And it's just like crazy because I was thinking about a couple months ago when I was really trying, to lose a little bit more weight and slim up, and I was doing workouts 6 days a week. Like I would wake up at 5 a.m. and instead of like waking up and journaling like I am now from 5 to 6, I would go straight to the gym. And
Mm,
like you lose all of that time and that energy that you should devote to something like that, whereas like your sole focus is on that, and that's when you become such a hard critic of like what you look like. And it's just crazy when it's just it's like all kind of all or nothing.
mm-hmm.
So I think balance is, it's so important, but I also think balance is so hard to achieve too. So I think it's like you need to just I think you guys have to have a perspective of what balance is for you because it's different for everyone.
Right. Well, we get to have balance. It's not ever anything that we need.
Yeah.
So if anyone is ever like, well, like for you yourself, if you ever find yourself saying, well, I need to work out or I need to journal, I need to listen to this podcast, I need to do this, just switch it to I get to. And
Yeah.
that's when the expectation and the pressure goes away. Because every time you say need, it's like, oh, I need to get this done. It's a pressure, it's an expectation.
Hmm.
Get to is a perspective shift. And it's like, oh, yeah, no, that's abundance, right?
Yeah,
The
definitely.
abundance part is I get to. Uh, I think balance is a myth.
Yeah, I know. And you're always everyone's always like preaching it, and I'm like, ooh,
It don't work like
it's
that.
not. I have not achieved that yet.
It don't work like that. Of all the goals I've ever achieved in my life is not because I had balanced buckets everywhere. It's because I went all in on one thing.
Yeah, and then you picked up a little bit from that, you learned it, and then you carried it on to the next all or nothing thing you did.
Exactly. So I think like we can learn to see in color, and that's what you're doing now with your healing. You've let go of macros. I'm so happy you did.
Oh my gosh, me too.
I'm so happy. How many weeks has it been, or has it been a month?
No, it's literally been 2 weeks, and
2 weeks. This whole conversation that we've had, and literally have only been 2 weeks.
no, I'm telling you, there was a big build up. There was a big build up to it though. Like I knew I needed to, and like I had been each week, like I still had was tracking, but like on the weekend I would be like, oh, like I already know what's in everything I eat anyways, so I'm just gonna like not track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like slowly like allowing myself like more, balance and like that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I know it sounds like I've been like on a journey for a little bit, but no, it's 2 weeks.
Literally been 2 weeks. I'm so excited though, because I think after hearing like last week's, and then so this is what the journey has been for her for 2 weeks, like 2 weeks of letting
Yeah.
go of your macros. Um,
Yeah, and I'm never ever like when I say like there was times in the past where I'd be like, okay, well, I'll just stop for a while and like I can always just go back to them in the future whenever I want to do a cut or like whenever I want to look good in bikini. But I'm like, no, like I'm never going back. Like that is, I just can't do that mental energy about my physique and nutrition anymore. And
yeah.
that's like been the most freeing thing ever.
Yeah. Once you're done, you're done. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah,
You just can't.
exactly.
You're like, I can't believe this is how I've been living my life. So now you see life in color. Now you're seeing all the beautiful grays and blues and pinks, and you're seeing, oh, I can have this and that. I can rest
Mhm.
and work. I can have wine and chocolate and vegetables. Like you can have all of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So a couple of the challenges that you're probably going to face then in the next couple months, you might see weight gain happen.
Mhm.
You might, you just might.
Yeah.
Um, and how do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, if it happens, I don't think it's going to be unhealthy because I still like know that I am. I mean, I don't want to say I'm a healthy person, but I know like what I eat makes me feel good, and I know that I with this scarcity mindset, I'm not going to binge on things. Like if I want that piece of chocolate, I'll have it and I won't think about it. And like I mean, I have to do a lot of journaling for that because sometimes I do get a little bit of anxiety after I eat something that I'm not used to eating. So it is going to be a process, but I think overall, like I'm not scared about it. No, I mean at first I was, but at the end of the day, it's like, what's a couple pounds when it's nothing.
Yeah.
No one notices,
No one
and
notices.
who cares anyways?
I hope you've thrown your scale away.
Oh, I did. And that food scale,
Oh yeah.
oh my
Oh man.
gosh,
This is so freeing.
terrible.
Hallelujah.
It's so bad. Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. So, like, okay, here's the thing about like body weight is that just as there's seasons in the year, 4 seasons, the seasons of
Hmm.
our period, our body goes through seasons. There might be
Oh,
some
for
seasons
sure.
where you're a little bit leaner just because of what you're going through. Either that might be higher stress, or maybe it's just a summer season where you're moving a lot, you're busy, and it's just what it is. And then there's some
Yeah.
seasons where we gain a little bit of weight. I mean, when we just take away that stigma of that gaining weight is bad, we then give ourselves permission to just be as we are. And when we do gain weight, it's not a big deal. It just is. And you just go on with your life. And so this is the part where it's like my lifestyle creates my body. My body doesn't create my lifestyle. And
Yes. Yes.
you
I
have
love
a
that.
healthy, yeah, and you have a healthy lifestyle. You're a trainer, you're a doctor, like you've
Hmm.
done Ironmans. I know Ironmans are extremely like taxing on the body. So it's like what it's like to be a high performance athlete. You know how to eat like a high performance athlete, and you know how to live and train like one.
Yeah,
So we
exactly.
don't have to be afraid. You're not just my favorite word is like Momo. You're not some Momo off the street who knows nothing about nutrition and fitness. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Most
yeah.
people listening to this podcast have either competed or have dieted a lot or have read all the nutrition books because we're all like these
Mhm.
like type A, we just love to learn.
Yeah.
So you guys have all the information. You
Oh,
have
for sure.
So
And
you
it's
don't
kind
have to
of,
be scared.
yeah, and it's kind of funny because like just like you, I'm sure, like anything you look at a piece of food, you probably know exact macronutrient profile.
Exactly.
And it's
Egg.
almost I want to like unlearn that, you know?
Yes. Yes. And that's the journey. You're on the unlearning process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to know, it's good self-awareness, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it's you don't need to do that for your life. Like you like a lot of people I feel like they think they have to have this certain macronutrient profile their whole life. They need to be on these macros their whole life. And it's like your body goes through so many seasons, like especially with women that get pregnant, like they're like, "Oh, I got to lose this baby weight." And it's like, "No, your body just went through such a traumatic thing." Like,
Yeah, literally.
yeah, and so like stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah. I love that. You're never going to eat perfect ever again. You know this.
mhm.
There are going to be some days you emotionally eat and just be okay with that. Be okay with knowing that like, you know what? This is how I'm coping with my emotions right now and I'm going to love myself through it.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
there's no right or wrong, there's no good or bad when it comes to food is not a moral issue. I think what's more important is like your intention behind it. And so if you are going to have a pint of ice cream, have a pint of ice cream because you want to have it, not because you are actively buffering or avoiding the work. Like if you are
Yeah.
doing your journaling and you're doing the work, you're meditating, you're doing your breath work, you are pouring into yourself, and you want to have a pint of ice cream, have a pint of ice cream. There's like nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah, no. I think yeah, like it all comes down to is like self-worth and knowing like that's kind of the foundation of this whole thing. And that's something that it's going to take me a long time and it's going to take me daily work, but I know that that's like the most important thing about this whole journey for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it is literally the foundation of your life. Uh,
Hmm.
so that's why the 1-4-3 method was born, because I was like, okay, I want to unlearn macros.
Yeah.
So how do I just eat normally again? One plate, four components, and then like as time has gone on, it's been I don't know like 2 years now since that. I still eat that way because that's just
Yeah.
naturally how I eat, but I don't force myself to have protein in every meal.
Yes. Yes.
I don't force myself to have carbs or fats in every single meal. So I think in the very beginning, like for anyone who's listening, that's like, okay, I want to let go of macros. What do I do? I do recommend having like flexible, loose structure. So, and then that way, what it does is it stabilizes your blood sugar. You have all four components on your plate. You've got fiber, you've got fats, you've got carbs, you've got protein. So you don't have
Hmm.
to worry about not eating enough, because I think that's another thing a lot of women tend to do is we just
Yeah.
don't eat enough. And so when you can meet your nutritional requirements and you have a snack-tional, then you can feel good, like, okay, like I nourished myself today. And then you just start doing some investigative work. You think to yourself, okay, like how did I feel after that meal? I was
Hmm.
actually way too full, or I wasn't full enough. And then you start to adjust based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as time goes on, it just gets even easier and easier. But in order for that 1-4-3 method to work, you have to do the mindset stuff. So you have to be able to enjoy your food. So the EAT, you have to
Hmm.
enjoy your food. If you are not enjoying what you're eating, then you will binge. It's science.
Yeah. No, for
You'll
sure.
literally binge. And then you've got to have that abundance mindset. And the 3 key habits, I think, are the best places to go. So there are a couple women inside the membership who are working through this and like their nutrition habits. And, we did a thought model for one of them. And I was like, okay, what's going to be. So she was in a negative thought loop about food and about letting herself eat whatever she wants. So
Hmm.
she had, let go of macros and meal plans, but she was still in a negative thought loop of like, this isn't going to work. She was like skeptical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so that was actually causing her to binge eat. So we did the thought model. And then her homework, her love work is the 3 key habits. And that's your 3 promises to yourself. And so
Hmm.
this work is hard. Like, you're sitting here, you're telling me, I know, but it's worth it.
Oh, for sure.
It's worth it. And unlearning sometimes is the hardest portion of it. But once you've unlearned and you've unwoven your self-worth from your body,
Hmm.
started to follow your passions and your dreams and your purpose, which I'm going to ask you that next, uh,
Yeah.
you have just so much more energy for life.
Yeah. And just one thing about kind of like the eating side of things after transitioning off of macros, like you definitely like will surprise yourself. Like I noticed like the other day, and I mean I know like I've had a good, like I don't want to say I have had a good week, but I meant like a good week in terms of like being good with myself and not judging myself. But like the other day I had lunch and I did, the 1-4-3 method like
Hmm.
you do. And that's just something way I like to eat too.
Yeah.
But like then after that, like I had some chips with like salmon dip, and I was like, okay, for dinner I always have like a carb, and it's like I need that carb because I know I want it, right?
Hmm.
But like last night at dinner, like I didn't even want the carb. And it's just like I never thought that day would come where I like needed that. Do you know what I mean?
You never thought the day would come where you wouldn't eat something.
Yeah, like where I
Yeah.
needed it. And I was like, I didn't want it. Like I just wanted like the protein, like a steak and Brussels sprouts. And I was like fine with that. But it was like, it was just mind blowing. It's like you just never think, like you're not going to think about, the next meal or that kind of thing. So, I know these are things that are possible in the future, like getting to the point where I'm not thinking about the next meal or like, how hungry I am. And so those are things I've been noticing along the way. And yeah, so that's nice.
I forgot if I shared this tool on the show. I don't know if I have, but have you? I probably haven't. So I'm going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So a lot of times switching to intuitive eating is hard because we like don't know what it feels like to be hungry. We're like
Yeah.
not sure because you've been eating on a schedule. So take your phone and set 3 alarms. I would set one like at 10, like mid morning, maybe like 3 hours after breakfast. Another one a couple hours later. Another one in the evening. And the alarms, when the alarm pops up, it's just an opportunity for you to check in.
Oh, okay. I like that.
How am I feeling? It's like, okay, what are my hunger signals on a scale of 1 to 10? How hungry am I? How am I feeling? How am I bored? Am I hungry? Am I thinking about anything? Am I sad? Something trigger me? And it's just literally checking in. And that's what creates mindfulness.
Yeah.
And that's what helps you really navigate like what your hunger is. That's how you learn what your hunger signals are.
Yeah. Kind of like
So
reprogram your brain.
exactly. So the acronym I use is your heck and check. I learned this from Jade Tita, and that's hunger, energy, and cravings. And that's also the 3 questions you can ask yourself when that alarm comes up. How's my hunger? How's my energy? How's my cravings? How am I feeling? And this over time sounds obsessive. We're setting 3 alarms a day. But what it does is this is how you develop that nuance between am I hungry or am I bored? How am I
Oh,
feeling?
okay.
Did I eat too much or did I eat too little? And so when you do this process of checking in with yourself a couple times a day for like a week, you don't have to do it for a week. You just get so much more intuitive.
Yeah. I like that.
That's
Okay.
how
I'm
you
going to try that for sure.
build the intuition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very helpful. This is what mindfulness is. This is mindful eating. It's just the habit and the learning of checking in, seeing how you feel, what's coming up for you. That's literally all that it is. It just takes a long time to develop it, but every new state of being can only be created through daily repetition. So
Mm-hmm.
those
Oh,
to you
for
for doing the
sure.
work.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to implement that for sure.
I love that. I'll also have it typed out in the blog post of this show notes. So if you guys want to go and check it out, you can. So 2 more questions for you. I wanted to
Yeah.
know, like, do you have a secret dream? I feel like you're already living it, but do you have one?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I just really want to be a mom so bad. Like,
No.
yeah, no, when that day comes, it's just gonna be it'll be amazing. But yeah, I mean, like I love working, I love helping people, increase their function of life, anything with injuries and that kind of thing. And but I think like overall, like that's like always been like such an amazing thing to me, especially because I had such an amazing mom. And so yeah, I know that might sound like, just a generic goal, but it's
No.
like so yeah, like that's literally like so yeah, it's like a
No.
precious thing to me. So yeah.
I love that. I'm the same. I used to think the same thing where I was like, Oh, is that normal? Isn't everyone? But no, it's not. Like, not everyone has this like deep desire to be a mother, which is so
Yeah.
interesting to me because it's just my natural way of being with all my
Uh-huh.
clients, right? You're a mother to your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mother them, you nurture them, you care for them, you look out for their best interests, their well-being. You could be a
Mhm.
mother in like a myriad of different ways. Um,
Yeah. No,
Second
that's
question
awesome. Yeah.
is, what does it mean to you to be your highest self?
So I think for me, I think it means being present in almost like everything I do, but also being able to like challenge myself, just like on a daily basis, like we kind of talked about, um, not being too all or nothing in anything. Um, yeah, I mean, your whole podcast is like, what it means for me. But I think for me, it's just like being super self-aware and but following up with those things that I am self-aware with. Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. Before I hit record, I told Paige that we probably were like sisters in a past life because we literally are like the same person. It's crazy.
I
Um,
know. I feel like I've already met you. Like now we have to link up.
I know. If you ever are in California, come hang out.
I know, right?
Vice versa, Colorado. Oh my gosh, time just flew by. Thank you so much for just sharing with us. I can't believe it's only been 2 weeks, all of that happening for you, but all the healing you've done,
Yeah.
before then has really led you to this. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge you for just how beautiful of a soul you are and your courage and your bravery. And I like feel your mom here with us. And I know that she is so proud of the woman you've become. And I just want to acknowledge you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. And honestly, like, yeah, a lot of the healing has been because I've engulfed myself and I've just known like I have to change. Like this is not what life's about. And so, yeah, it's been, I know it's going to be a big journey, but it's worth it, like you said.
Yeah. Oh, that makes me so happy because that's literally why I started this podcast.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because like when I reached out to you, I was like, even if it's just changing, because I saw like you had a post about like not getting as many likes as you wanted, or not reaching as many people as you wanted, like versus like these people that get like thousands of hundreds of thousands of like, and I'm like, this is like you just need like one person like significantly impacted like this, and it just makes such a difference in what you
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah. That's
Like
all
if
I'm
you
here for.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like so that
I think it was a podcast episode I did because in the past it was very much ego for me
yeah,
and like being in the fitness industry, and I really wanted to win a pro show. Let me tell you, I really
yeah,
wanted that crown on my head. Like I really really wanted it.
yeah,
I'm have done so much healing work, but I'm not afraid to admit that a lot of a lot of that was my ego and
uh-huh,
wanting to be acknowledged and wanting that and like the likes and the followers. And it was a big wake up call, like when I realized, wow, I'm putting so much of my self worth into
mhm,
this, putting so much of
yeah,
my self worth into how many people I help, into how many people get impacted. And
yeah,
so I've had to do so much on that, and then just coming to this realization that what, I'm not here to prove a thing.
no,
Literally
exactly,
not here to prove it. I'm just here to be myself, to share what I know, to be of value. And if I can change one person's life, amazing. But I'm not here to be famous. I really am.
yeah,
I'm not here to be famous. I'm not here to be anything but myself. Um,
yeah, and
so
it,
thank
it's
you.
yeah, no, and it's surprising like when you do share your story how many people do resonate with that, and so it's like don't be anything other than yourself. It's good to be authentic because one person is going to resonate with that or connect and they're going to need it, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to connect with Paige, if you're ever in Colorado, need her services, want to train at her gym, how can they get in contact with you?
So we have a Anytime Fitness Rock Rimmon page, which is my personal gym page. And then I just have a personal page, but I'm always here to connect if you ever have I do a lot of, I like to talk about grief and like the challenges I faced there. So if you ever wanted to connect about that, I'm definitely open about that. But yeah,
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you reach out to her if that is something that you need support with, because I think like when we come together, we can help each other heal. And that's how we can rise. I'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Don't forget to be your highest self. Bye for now.